The next category of award, most stress cardiothoracic award, goes to Dr. Deepak Puri. Come on, everyone, give a big round of applause for Deepak Puri. Congratulations, sir. I request from you, sir, please say.
Thank you very much. Thank you, the organizers. I would reinforce that medicine and education is still the noblest of all professions. And today I have to make a presentation also here, which is briefly going to make everyone aware, and it is a kind of an appeal that all of us need to join hands if we want to improve the healthcare of the society. Because it is not only the responsibility of a particular doctor or particular specialty or particular type of medicine. We should not compete with each other. We should come together as a team to deliver what would be in future the best comprehensive delivery of healthcare. So I request you all to please listen to the small talk and also join hands with me from today so that we can improve the healthcare to a great extent. Thank you. Very good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Deepak Puri. I am the founder chairman of Cardioversion, which is a global trust, and the aim of this trust is to integrate all the specialties and to deliver comprehensive management of cardiovascular as well as other lifestyle diseases. Because nowadays, in the coming year, we are going to work as a team. It's no longer a job of a single person to deliver healthcare to everybody. So the concept came into my mind in 2011 when I floated this Cardioversion, and we held a global conference in which people from 22 countries they participated, and there were 46 reputed speakers from across the globe, and there were 55 speakers from India. And for the first time we held a global conference on comprehensive management. The challenges that we face nowadays in the management of healthcare, especially related to the cardiovascular. The most people, they are now aware that Indians are affected by cardiovascular disease and other lifestyle disease like cancers at a much younger age compared to the Western population. And most of us, we are not doing anything to prevent this, because the focus is only on interventions, and everybody thinks that only we have to go to the doctor when we need an intervention or when there is an emergency. And at the same time, there are various myths that promote delaying the treatment, which are floating around, and people think that there is no need to go to a doctor or to a medical professional to seek advice on prevention. Another thing that is important is that non-evidence based promotion of unconventional methods is rampant. There is no law to prevent their advertisement about non-conventional methods which are not proven medically or by any trials. So that is also delaying the treatment and also causing a lot of deaths, because many times people, they don't, when they need a bypass surgery or they need a percutaneous intervention, they don't come to the doctor immediately and they wait, and sometimes they even die while waiting, or they seek unconventional methods which have no proven benefit. Another thing that is important is that various advances have come, like robotics and minimal invasive surgeries, and we have endovascular interventions. But we have to see what are the benefits and what are the risks. So every new thing that comes into our existence does not mean that this is the best treatment. So we have to rationalize the treatment according to the need of the patient, and we don't have to promote it in an irrational way. So at the same time, we have to face a deterioration in the doctor-patient relationship because the trust with the doctors is going down. Although even if we see that in the Western countries, Indian doctors, they are the best. And Indian doctors are very hardworking, they are very approachable. Still, what we find is that day by day, the trust of the patient is declining. So we have to go to the root cause, why this trust is declining and what we should do to rebuild the faith. Another thing that is important is there is too much emphasis on cost cutting. So I want to emphasize that cost cutting should not mean quality cutting, because once you try to bring down the cost, because when we do procedures like heart surgeries, so a lot of medicines are required, lot of equipment is required, and lot of skilled professionals are required. So whenever there is an emphasis on cutting the cost, the first thing that cuts is the skilled professionals. Because you cannot cut the medicine, you cannot cut the equipment. Only thing you can cut is the number of professionals and number of skilled professionals that are required to deliver the care. So next thing I would like to emphasize is that there is lack of infrastructure in many places, and also the quality of training of the skilled professionals is not adequate. Like in India, we have like limitations in imparting skills. Because if you go to Western countries, the emphasis is on skills. But in India, like there are no programs which emphasize the imparting of skills to the person who is going to deliver the care. So most of the teaching is practical only. And when it comes to practical, then there are a lot of limitations. And also, there is a growing amount of stress on healthcare professionals, which is affecting their delivery of healthcare to the patients. Every year, there are 58 million deaths, and out of these 58 million, 19 million deaths occur because of heart diseases. So, almost 1/3 of the deaths they occur because of cardiovascular diseases. And recently, after the onset of COVID pandemic, we have seen that there is a very steep rise in the fatal heart attacks. There has been a 14% rise in heart attacks 1 year after the onset of COVID pandemic, and which has increased to 29% rise. And we have seen that the rise is seen more often in the younger population between the 25 to 44 year age group. And also, we have seen that those patients who require hospitalization in the ICU for COVID, they have a much higher complication rate, like the incidence of thromboembolic complications, the incidence of heart failure, the incidence of stroke, arrhythmias and death has increased manifold. The most common cause of death in cardiovascular diseases is heart attack. So when a person gets heart attack, time is very crucial. The person has to immediately seek medical help, but unfortunately most of the people, they don't realize this, and there's very little awareness about this, and they resort to unconventional treatment methods, or they delay their treatment because they don't realize the urgency of the situation, and every minute the muscles of the heart, they are dying. And so they, by the time they reach the hospital, already the muscle of the heart is dead to an extent that it cannot be revived. So the best treatment would be that we should open up the artery which is blocked within 1 hour, which is known as the golden hour. The first hour after the onset of the heart attack, this is most crucial. But in India, most of the people, they waste a lot of time. And then we also face another problem is that people who are living far off, who are away from cardiac facilities, like they have to travel for several hours to reach the cardiac facility. So without thrombolysis, you should not shift the patient because the patient usually dies on the way. So if you are not able to reach a cardiac facility within 1 hour, then best would be that you should thrombolyze the patient, stabilize the patient and then send, rather than sending the patient straight away. So a lot of deaths can be prevented if we know this. And sometimes the patient they die on the way and they reach the hospital dead. So another big problem is heart failure. So heart failure, unfortunately, we have the highest burden of heart failure patients in India and in Asian countries compared to the Western population. But most of the Indian heart failure patients, they are because of delay in the treatment of heart attacks. Because the artery remains blocked for a long time, the patient doesn't reach the hospital in time, and they are not aware that it should be opened up immediately within few hours. So part of the muscle gets damaged and dies, and so this muscle cannot be revived. So although the improvement in the management of heart attacks has been, we have been able to save most lives, but many of them they become heart failure patients, and almost 2/3 of the patients after a heart attack who seek delayed treatment, they are having heart failure for the rest of their lives. So if there is a 10% reduction of pumping function of the heart, there is almost a 50% increase in the chances of dying in the next few years. And also the heart failure burden in India has special features which are different from the Western population. Most important is that we are affected at least 20 years earlier than the Western population. In the global figures, they show mean age of heart failure patients 73 years. India it is 53 years. And also the in-hospital mortality is 10 times higher compared to the global figures. And also the post-discharge mortality within next 6 months, it is 3 times higher. The most important reason for this is that patients, they don't reach the hospital in time. So we started this cardiomergen in 2011, and at that time I thought that most of the people, they are only coming to us at the time of interventions. However, for treatment of this patient, the patient has to be educated that not only the intervention, it is the prevention which is also very important. So in next few slides, I will tell you how we can improve the management of these patients just by simple steps. So as the patient comes for the intervention, most important question is that people, they are confused whether we should go for a medical management, whether we should go for percutaneous intervention like stenting, or we should go for a bypass surgery. So we have enough medical evidence in favor of all the 3 modalities, and in next slides I will tell you how we can make a rational team approach so that the best treatment is given to the patient. So in the last couple of decades, there has been a lot of improvement in the medical management of the patients. A lot of heart failure medicines have come up, and there is a guideline directed medical therapy which is recommended for the management of patients with cardiovascular problems. So once we do the medical management, sometimes it may not be enough and we require percutaneous intervention to save the dying muscle. So it has been seen that despite the use of percutaneous interventions and optimized medical therapy, still the mortality is very high. Even the 1-year mortality is very high. So various studies have shown that there is an increased risk of mortality in heart failure hospitalization patients with reduced ejection fraction, that is the reduced pumping post revascularization. And it has been seen that even if you do a percutaneous intervention or you do a bypass surgery, the 30-day mortality is a little on the higher side compared to a normal risk patient, and even the 5-year mortality is on the higher side. But we have seen that outcome compared to percutaneous intervention if we go for a CABG. So now the recommendation is that if the patient is having heart failure and if the patient is having diabetes and if the patient is having multivessel disease, then we should go for bypass surgery rather than percutaneous intervention if we have to give survival benefit to the patient. And even the short-term benefit is also better, the mortality risk is also lesser, and the long-term survival also is better. And also we have seen that if we compare the patients who have normal ventricular function and if they have a mildly reduced ventricular function and if they have a severely reduced ventricular function, their risk of having death or recurrent myocardial infarction or stroke, it increases over a period of time in the next 3 to 5 years. So the best thing would be that we should treat the patient well in time before the patient has irreversible damage to the heart muscle. So most of the guidelines nowadays, they say that bypass is the first choice for revascularization strategy in patients with multivessel disease, and there is an acceptable risk that we should go for a bypass surgery. And in the past, it has been seen that if we do this bypass surgery on a beating heart, then the outcome is much better. And even the American Association accepts this, that if we do a bypass surgery in acute myocardial infarction or in heart failure, then if we do it on a beating heart, the outcome would be better and the risk would be less. But in the Western countries, they do it conventionally on the pump. Like they stop the heart, they put the patient on a cardiopulmonary bypass machine, and then they do the bypass surgery. But in Asian countries, especially in India, India is considered number one in beating heart surgery. So we face this problem a lot of times. When the patient comes to us, the muscle is already damaged. Like here you can see this patient. He has had a myocardial infarction. This is the left ventricular muscle, almost damaged, and it is like impending rupture. Like if you don't handle it properly, it will rupture on table. And this is the normal muscle down below. This is the right ventricle. This is the left ventricle. And here you can see that we do a beating heart surgery on this patient. And after the surgery, the pre-operatively the pumping was only 15%, and later on the muscle keeps on improving. After 3 months it may improve to say 30% or 35%, and after 1 year many times the patient may have a normal pumping. So it takes a long time for the muscle to recover, and in the post-operative period we need the help of other specialties, like we need nephrologist, we need a pulmonologist, we need endocrinologist. Many patients, they have complications related to other specialties. So it has to be a teamwork. It can't be that a single surgeon can do everything. We need the help of the cardiac anesthetist during the surgery, and in the post-operative period we need the help of intensivist. We also need the help of physiotherapists, dietitians, to enable the patient to have a good rehabilitation and then go back to normal work. So now this patient will also require guideline-directed medical therapy in the post-operative period. So till the patient recovers fully, he has to be managed by a cardiac team in which there will be a cardiac surgeon, a cardiologist, there will be intensivists, and there will be specialists from other branches like nephrology, pulmonology, endocrinology. Everybody jointly manage this patient to give him the best care. So there are other technologies which are available, which have helped in improving the post-operative outcome of the patient and the recovery of the patient and patient satisfaction. Like we have these endoscopic vein harvesting techniques, in which without making big incisions we can take out the veins through small holes. And also, like I went to US to get trained in robotic surgery in 2009, And we were thinking that maybe we can start robotic cardiac surgery in India at that time. I went to University of Melbourne and the president of robotic surgery, Dr. Jonas Martin was there, and I wanted to get trained under him. And every day we were doing 2 bypass surgeries by this robotic technique. And some of the surgeries they were done by hybrid technique, like few vessels they were bypassed by the robotic technique, and other vessels they were stented by the cardiologist. But later on, like we found that even after this using this extremely costly robotic technique, the patients were discharged from the hospital after 3 days. And lot of equipment is required. The robot is quite costly, and the cost of the surgeries is extremely high. But here in India, we were doing beating heart surgery, and after doing a good beating heart surgery, we keep the patient for 2 days in the ICU, and on the 3rd day, we discharge the patient home. And the cost is almost 30 times less, and the outcome is better. Like even in Maryland, later on they realized that the long-term outcome of this robotic surgery was not as good, so they also abandoned this for cardiac. And India also, one of the hospitals in Delhi, they started robotic cardiac surgery, but later on they had to abandon because long-term outcome was not good, because we can't achieve that precision of doing the coronary bypass, which is just 1.5 millimeter artery, and you have to put several stitches on that artery, and that precision cannot be achieved with this Da Vinci robot. So another thing that is important is the onset of endovascular surgery. So when we went to Orlando for the conference, that time one of my Japanese friends, he was very expert in doing this aortic aneurysm surgery. So he was supposed to deliver a talk, and he said that when I was young, I used to do long operations. I used to do operation for 12 hours, 16 hours, 24 hours, and after the operation, after a few days, patient used to die, or maybe he used to die after a few months. So after some time, I thought that why I am doing these operations? So why can't we do something better? So that thought stuck into my mind, and now I realize that today we are no longer doing all those long surgeries. We do the procedure by endovascular technique. We just insert a guide wire and we insert the stent inside. It takes just half an hour, and the patient goes home on the next day. So there has been a tremendous improvement in the last 2 decades. And then we have patients who are elderly patients and having heart failure, several comorbidities. They come to us with aortic stenosis, and if we do the surgery by the conventional method, then the mortality rate is a little higher. So recently, like in last decade, this technique of doing this percutaneous valve replacement has come up, which is known as TAVI or TAVR. So nowadays, for such patients, we are simply doing this procedure, and the patient goes home in a couple of days, and without the increased risk of doing the conventional surgery. Ultimately, the other group of patients who have heart failure, and we cannot do anything for this patient except a heart transplant. So these patients, they are increasing in number day by day, and as you grow older, the chances of having heart failure increases with age. The unfortunate thing is that although the number of transplants in India is increasing, we have paucity of donors. Even in US, if there are 75,000 patients who require a heart transplant, only 2,500 they receive a donor heart. And the situation is much worse in India. So here you can see that most of the heart transplants they are done in either North America or in European countries, whereas the burden of heart failure patient is maximum in Asian countries and maximum in India. So what we can do about it is that other options that are available are the ventricular assist devices and the artificial heart, and these are being used as either a bridge to transplant or they can be used as a destination therapy also, like if we can't give a donor heart to the patient. But the problem is that these technologies, they are good, but they have their own complication rates and they are very costly. They are not affordable by everybody. We have another option that is much more affordable, and this is the cardiac synchronization therapy, and this is useful for those patients who have a delayed conduction, where we can sequentially pace the two ventricles, and we can even put a defibrillator by which we can prevent sudden death and we can improve the pumping of the heart. So this has been very useful and many patients they get benefited by this therapy. So another thing that is very important but it's still not available for a patient, that is the regeneration therapy or stem cells. So stem cell may probably help in regeneration of the heart muscles, but there have been various trials in which we have tried to see whether the patient can be benefited by a percutaneous intervention or by injecting it directly into the heart muscle. But the problem is that the cells, they don't stay there and they die quickly because there is no blood supply to that dead area. So how to create that blood supply and how to make the cells survive and how to make them multiply into normal cardiac muscles and how to make them function also in a normal way. That is the main challenge, and a lot of trials are going on, but still it is not available for giving to the patient. So now we come to the original thought process that was going on in my mind and when we started the cardioversion. So what we want to promote is that instead of waiting for all these complicated procedures, we can start from primordial prevention. When early in the childhood, when there are no risk factors, we can start the prevention from there on, and later on, once the person acquires some risk factors, then we can do the primordial prevention to take control of the risk factor. And then if the patient has some symptoms or there is the onset of the disease, then we should diagnose early and we should give the best possible treatment. And if that stage is also crossed, then we have to give the intervention to the patient, and after intervention we have to give proper rehabilitation to the patient and we have to do the secondary prevention. And if we follow all this, this will improve the outcome of the management of the patient, and also the long-term survival of the patient also improves, and at the same time the cost of the treatment also becomes very good. So if we have to give best treatment to the patient, we have to work at all levels during this journey of life, and we have to give the appropriate treatment at the appropriate time. So in the end, youngsters nowadays, they are getting heart attacks. And I was lucky that my movie was selected for international film festivals and I won the best director award for this.
मेरी फीलिंग मुझे नोजी हो रहा है, घबराहट हो रही है।
ठीक तो रहेगी ना इनके लिए। अगर 1 घंटे से लेट हो गए तो उनकी आर्टरी भी खुली तो बहुत जान को खतरा हो सकता है।
3 वेसल डिजीज है, पेशेंट की रिलीज कर देते हैं, तो उसके लिए इमीडिएट बाईपास सर्जरी जरूरी है।
आप चिंता मत करो, जब सर्जरी हो जाएगी ना उसके बाद आप मेरे को मिलो।
सुनने को मिले।
आप हमें कुछ ऐसी टिप्स एडवाइस दे सकते हैं जो कि हमारे आज के यूथ को और ओल्ड जनरेशन के लिए बहुत ही बेनिफिशियल है।
स्मोकिंग बिल्कुल नहीं करनी, हमने सेडेंटरी लाइफस्टाइल नहीं रखना।
अभी भी समाचार प्राप्त हुआ है कि प्रसिद्ध गायक के हमारे बीच में नहीं रहे हैं, उनकी मृत्यु हार्ट अटैक से हुई है। आपको बता दें कि इससे पहले बहुत सारे सेलिब्रिटीज हार्ट अटैक की वजह से कम उम्र में इस दुनिया को अलविदा कह चुके हैं।
ये एक ऐसा सब्जेक्ट है जिसके बारे में कोई सोच नहीं रहा, लेकिन हम डेली ये देख रहे हैं कि यंग लोग जो हैं हमारे पास आते हैं हार्ट डिजीज लेके, और सारे लोग अपनी जिंदगी से भी हाथ धो बैठते हैं। ये चीज़ अवॉइडेबल है।
So this is just a trailer. So you can see the entire movie on YouTube. We have a channel on YouTube by my name, Dr. Deepak Puri, and it is a short 20 minutes movie. I wish that everybody should see the movie and we should share it to as many people as possible, because I will tell in my talk about the most common causes of death nowadays, and 80% of these are preventable just by a little awareness. I will request that everybody should relax and also take care of your own health. We should become physically active, we should remain healthy, and we should prevent heart disease, not only in the society, in the medical fraternity also. Because many evidences have revealed that doctors, they live 10 years lesser than the non-medical population. So it is time that we should join hands and we should take care of our health and the health of the society. Thank you.